A little more. With the white lights of the city, and we buzz like bugs with the highlight. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Education X show with your host, Grace. And
boom. That's right.
All right. So the Education X show is where we discuss and dissect the obscure elements in education from the perspectives and viewpoints of educators. Today's topic
is to be or not to be a teacher. That's right.
It's a good question.
Good question. Be or not to be.
Good question.
And we're going to dive right into that to be or not to be part, because we got some people in the field. We've got a wealth of experience, and all you veterans out there that you can tell maybe about year 1, year 2. You may,
oh no.
Yeah, you may need to try to do something else. But before we get into that, we're going to go to our regular routines of plugs, tugs, and hugs.
Yes.
And also make sure everybody click the subscribe button, because if you're watching for the first time, please do that. If you're moving over from Facebook Live to watch us, we certainly appreciate you, and all the comments and other things. Continue to find whatever type of media outlet to get with us, contact with us, stay up with us. We appreciate all of that. Trust us. So, some plugs before we go forward. Today is National Paraprofessional Day. If you are a teacher out in the field, in the profession, hug your parapro tomorrow.
Yes.
Even if you didn't know today, so what? The hug will still mean that much tomorrow. And I want to personally shout out to all of the people who took care of me, because I started off in the profession as a paraprofessional.
Yeah.
I really learned the field, not taking anything away from student teaching, but being a parapro, that's a nice introduction into it. So
different.
Plugs to that. Also, it is Diversity Month. We are celebrating Diversity Month. We know a lot of people out there who are watching us may think you know about diversity and equity and inclusion, which is great. At least you're thinking about it, talking about it. That's fine. But at most times, people think of the word diversity and they automatically attach it to race.
Mm-hmm.
And diversity is such a broad, wide topic, and it's still becoming broader and wider.
Right.
It's constantly evolving. So we celebrating all that this month, April. And we're also plugging April 9th from 1 to 4 at the UCA Library.
University of Central Arkansas Main Library. We are having an event, the Human Library, where there will be 25 or so people who are there sharing their stories and who want to have a conversation about their histories and stories and all of the things that have shaped their lives. So they're coming to participate in this event as a book. So hence the
give us an
library.
Example of Human Library.
So there are people who are sharing their stories about being a Muslim American in a southern state. We have someone who's sharing their book on their topic is atheist, Black woman, and how all of that intersects with the Black church. There are people who are sharing their experiences as a first generation college student. There are people who are doing presentations, or not presentations, but sharing their stories on being a Pakistani American in the South. So there's a variety. There are topics on transgender, topics on being a student with autism.
So basically, the Human Library is
the human experience.
Is as if you go into a library, pick out a book. What you're actually doing is like grabbing the person off the shelf.
You're checking out a person.
and open up them like they were a book. Open book.
So it's a 15-minute conversation. So if you are in the Central Arkansas area and are available from 1 to 4, it is open to the public. So that's something I think is going to be a great event.
So moving on, we want to tug on the coattail. That's why we say plugs, tugs, and hugs. So we tug in the coattail. Before we get into our topic, we like to tug the coattail of those people who are already about to listen and they're itching to say, oh, I got some conflicting views about this topic. But we want to tug on the coattail of those who think about the profession or try to think about getting to the field strictly because of the internal perks. And what we know about the perks are, oh, let me go ahead and get in this because I get my summers and my vacations off, like the all the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break. Well, that way I can go on vacations with my kids, or I got the rest of the day in the afternoon off. I can avoid traffic and any type of snow day. I know I'll get that, and it's just taking care of a few kids. I can do that. And we're going to get into that a little deeper. And we want to give hugs to those who commit to the field, even after a little taste of it, especially if it wasn't your initial desire. Hello, we're both TKs.
Yeah.
TKs, teachers' kids.
Yeah, I started out in nursing.
Right. Mine was business. The last thing we want to do was education, but we'll talk about the reasons for that. So those who commit to it because, you know, it's one of my original things, but somehow or another, it just grabbed a hold of me and I'm in it to win it now. Yeah. And the last hug goes out to Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago. She is Chicago's first Black female mayor. Lori Lightfoot. Yeah. We are hugging you from a distance because you don't need it, baby girl.
Yeah.
The first Black female mayor of Chicago. Lori Lightfoot,
for our hometown.
That's
y'all
right.
Go.
Right.
Y'all get it in. That's good. That's a wonderful thing.
So
get into it. Let's get into it.
Let's throw these questions out just to get the mind and the mental gears rolling. So what was the deciding factor to become a teacher? Now, we use that a lot of times when we give our presentations and trainings and work labs where we know the first two people are going to have that brochured answer. Well, I really want to help kids. I really want to help people. I really love people. Nah.
My favorite. I love children.
No. Children are little people. Little people have little personalities. And you don't like all personalities. Let's face it.
Fact.
Especially
fact.
If you meet something about their parents on that open house or their first parent conference that is starting to remind you of that young person, you like, So you understand, aside from the answer that is politically correct and you think somebody on the other end is supposed to hear. Now, why'd you really become a teacher? Okay. How does one distinguish what grade level or what subject to teach? Like, how do you really know what's your wheelhouse? I'm gonna go in this level, I'm gonna go to that level. Oh, I really like math, but I have seen math teachers who are math wizards struggle teaching it. Magic Johnson, go down in history 200 years from now is one of the best basketball players. He's a terrible coach. Go figure.
I think he admitted that. Right?
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
Not my wheelhouse.
That does not mean you can relay information just because you know how to take it in very, very well.
Right.
Tim, this is a very important question. What temperament do you think it takes to survive in the field? It more than patience, more than open-mindedness. And first of all, how do you define open-mindedness? Right? If you think you one of the most open-minded people in your circle, you got to double that because you're going to be introduced to all walks of life in education.
Yeah.
Takes more than just love. As you said, I just love kids.
Okay. What's going to happen when you don't like their behavior?
Exactly.
Or their little personality or
they
whatever.
Turn on you. Because trust me, they will turn on you.
It's their job.
Yeah.
To drive you crazy.
Here's a very interesting one, as we already mentioned, as TKs ourselves. Is it a legacy profession? Meaning, do you think I'm supposed to go into it, or I'll be good at it because one of my parents was?
Or somebody told me I'm good with kids and I should be a teacher.
That happens a lot. It is no different than how a dad, a granddad, a dad, and a brother were all firefighters or cops, and you think I'm supposed to be one, and you're terrible. Yeah. You're terrible at it.
Right.
So it does not come through osmosis. It does not just rub off on you that no. both my mom and dad were teachers, so I'm bound to be one, and I'll be good at it. Oh, this is a very interesting one that comes up a lot within the educator field. Do all stakeholders need classroom experience? For instance, if you're a business manager at a school or a school district, if you are a bus driver, coaches, what about board members? Because there's nothing like walking in the teacher's shoes with some classroom experience. And I'm not talking about subbing. I'm not talking about volunteer day. I'm not talking about being on a chaperone on a field trip. I'm talking about getting in there, being responsible for grades and meetings and deadlines. Because there's nothing like that. If all those people that I named, if you go experience it, because we both experienced it, I'm sure, where I've had many a parent who went back and got their degree and became a parapro and a sub. And after 1 month, and I've had parents where I've had it out with their child or children, and suddenly they're working in my building. After 1 month, they come up to me and say, "Bless you." I cannot. I just recognize. It's like Halloween, and they come up to me and they just like,
got it. They just got it.
I just recognize what you go through.
God, daily.
Yeah, just like, oh my God. And I'm at home like, yep.
Yeah, and they're walking to you like zombies.
Right. And some of them even have apologized years after their children have gone on to college and go, I apologize for my child and what they do and what they've done to you.
Yikes.
And I go, oh,
yikes. Yeah. Yikes. Ooh, that's nice though.
Yeah, definitely. So to be.
Yes, to be.
Or not to be.
Right.
Is you or is you ain't prepared to walk into this field?
Yes.
It is a profession, ladies and gentlemen. You must profess to it. Because a lot of people take for granted that, okay, I'm in college and I just need to hurry and graduate. I went, begged my advisor. All the desperation was on my face. The closest degree I was to getting out of college with all these other outside pressures from my parents and this money was to go in education. You start off in econ, you start off in English, not customer service, public relations, human resources, all these things that sort of hover around humanities and liberal arts, and thinking, hey, we can always use teachers, get this certification, and you get out. And at that very moment, you're thinking about, I can get out and get a job. But this is a profession, because before you know it, for your very eyes, that job turns into a career. And now you're like, whoa, I've survived my first school year. And now I got the summer to take a break, not touch the stuff, not profess to it, and go back to a job in August. This is great. Because now I can work over the summer in another job, something that I'm more passionate in or whatever. And in 5 years, you know how many people you've impacted? I won't say ruined, even though I just said it, but
impact or influence in some way, positively. It happens. And most first year teachers, you are such in survival mode. You don't even really know. You haven't quite figured it all out. So you take a summer, you try to figure some things out. What could I do better? If you're really trying to stick with this, what can I do better? What can I change? What can I enhance? All of those things. And you come back hopefully in a better, maybe headspace with a better temperament, which I know is something we're going to talk about. Like, do you actually have the temperament from the giddy up to actually be in the classroom with other people's children?
Right.
Like your personal, or do you have some arrested development that you need to deal with?
That's a whole nother topic for some teachers. And we've talked about it numerous times. I've said it till I'm blue in the face, because if you have not dealt with some issues, and we all have them, I have mine. I have mine. It has showed up. I've been in my office alone replaying what I did or said or how I interacted with a young person. And I take myself back to my own day and I go, oh man, I owe them in a huge apology. Sometimes I've been in my office at 6 o'clock at night fighting to make that phone call because there's no telling what may happen on that other end. And that parent may blow up and lose it. But because that interaction with that young person is so important to me personally, it's important to me personally that I show some integrity and some fairness to them. I bite the bullet and I go through it.
Yeah.
That 3 hours of waiting, trying to play it out. Okay, how do I react if they lose it? You know, is it going to get back to my boss? Are they going to come to the board? Yeah. And even though sometimes or a lot of times it worked out for the better, I've had some where they've called me to the carpet and I was wrong and they didn't give me any slack. But I also know I also replay some of the times in my youthful career that someone has stood up for me. Someone has gone to bat for me, an adult, and I'm just paying it forward. And education is one of the few professions that will call on that so often. And I'm not knocking any other profession out there, but it gets called on so often. There are way too many human elements in education for you to just say, hey, it's a sweet deal. My wife's a teacher, my mom's a teacher, my sister's a teacher. I could do that. I hear their stories and what they do. Man, I can handle that. I coach my child or my church or my Park District Boys and Girls Club team, and I handle it for 6 weeks. Yeah, let me go into education. Yeah. I subbed for a minute.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yes. And
so I think I can do it.
I think people think somehow there's something that's easy about it. Or that it is just that challenging and difficult that I would never want to do that. And then some people just kind of find their way through it and figure out where they are best. Because what I have found is that a lot of people who think that, I'm going to work with the the younger students, the kindergartners through the second and third grade, and then they get into those grades, as a student teacher or some sort of internship experience, and they think, oh no, I don't want to. And then they get into the older grades and like, oh, that's where I fit.
Right.
That is the best fit for me because I have the temperament for it. I'm ready for it. And some people who think they want to be in the older grades, they get in those grades and they completely fall apart. They go to the lower grades and they're like, I'm a little bit better. And those are the people who probably have made the wrong decision to be a teacher, because you have to work with human beings, small human beings, in some instances, who are trying to figure out their own emotional development. So if you don't even you can't work with 6th graders, you can't work with 8th graders, and then now you don't really know, you don't want the 2nd graders, or you don't want the kindergartners blowing snot all over you. You know,
because it's gonna happen. And put it this way, snot is the least of your worries.
Well,
give me snot any day.
It's supposed to
versus what could come out your body.
Yeah, I've had many days when I have snot and paint and whatever on my clothes, and you just deal with it. But I was okay with that.
My self-awareness and self-reflection happened as a paraprofessional at my alma mater high school, and I was working with 9th graders. That let me know personally, again, stepping into my first name versus my last name, I knew I needed to work in an environment where there's more self-sufficiency, i.e. middle school and higher. I could operate better. I thought I was an organized person. I thought I was a very tedious person about how things are placed. And being in education the first couple of years, I recognized I need to step that game up threefold. And in doing that, recognizing that, I knew, I don't think I'm really cut out. In my early years, cut out for your primary grades and your intermediate grades. Give me middle school, what I can give a directive, or I can coach them into something from afar, from a distance, to keep organization in my room. And lo and behold, I lucked out at a time in the early 2000s in which they needed a lot of African-American males in those middle school grades anyway. So it all worked for the better. But as to your point, it's something you definitely need to think about. We've talked a couple of times before about many universities, what their responsibility probably should be. But I'm not putting it all on them because you have plenty of alternative certification programs out there that live.
Mm-hmm.
Their responsibility, again, as a parapro and an alternative certification teacher. So I went the non-traditional route, which, I don't know if that benefited me or not. It just worked out.
Yeah.
But I knew for me, making so many changes in my life at that time, self-discovery and whatever, give it a name, that this has to work for me. This has to work.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was also an indicator where I was working at a park district and I was working with the Mayor's Office of Employment Training, where we were out being a liaison for a lot of students, college students and young students on their first job, and just trying to be supportive for them, representing the mayor's office. And that's when I really saw what I could do and what I was good at, interacting with young people and being there for them.
Right.
And that was enough for me, that trigger. Don't stop there. Do some more self-reflection. And how am I really going to survive? Because again, when I got into it, this has to work. It has to work for me.
Right. So the other part of to be or not to be a teacher has to do with the traditional career paths that many people follow because that's what's there, that's what's laid out before you. So many people think, okay, I'm a teacher, classroom teacher, then I'm going to become a building administrator, and then maybe I'll move up to the district level. And there's nothing wrong with that career trajectory if that's what you want to do. But it's also recognizing that even as a classroom teacher or wherever I am in education, there are so many more things that you can do in education. And one of the things that I would absolutely suggest is to look at all of the various ways in which you can educate people. So, for example, educational policy, social analysis is huge right now. And it should be, because we have so many, it's such a top-down approach, and we have so many people who are making policy, legislation about education, things that are happening to educators and to students who know absolutely nothing about education. We're seeing it local and definitely at the national level. You don't know anything about education. We need more educators in those roles who are making policies. Because here's the thing, teachers, and I'm just going to say this. We have a lot of teachers that complain about what's not happening at the ground level, and that's in the trenches where we're working. But then we don't have anybody who is in education or who has an educational background who knows enough about what's actually happening on the ground to say, here's a policy that we need to implement to make some changes, some substantive changes for all schools. So I think the more open we are to looking at different various pathways, different parts of education where we are needed, where our voice needs to be heard, we got to move ourselves into those positions. And educational policy is huge. Big league. It's huge. So that's the other part of, to be a teacher or not to be. Just think of the other ways in which you can educate, in which you can be impact and influence other people.
And fret not, we're not scaring nobody off. In fact, we are opening up our communication lines to say, we're here to give you some advice. Or not tell you to go sway one way or another, but to break it. That's why we really created the show, because these obscure topics and the things that don't normally get talked about when you're in college and you're on your way and you try to figure out a major, they get glossed over a lot. We know many teachers who admit to us, you know what, I really don't think I'm cut out for this. And we applaud the ones that they gracefully slide exit stage right, because it benefits them. You not only benefit the young people that you could have impacted, but it's for your own sanity and your own happiness as well. I never forget one teacher who had some years in it, maybe about 8, and decided to go another route to his real love and passion, which was music. And he taught it. He gave lessons. He did a few gigs went out on the road, but it was evident he was struggling in it because he was teaching math, and he could do it. He was good, but the teaching the social emotional relationship.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
all that stuff.
Student teacher interactions. That's foundational.
And you would think, okay, he's creative, so musically he can come. But no, I just didn't.
Didn't work. Just didn't work.
And that was like to not be.
Yeah. So
not to be.
So temperament, and then think about the various ways in which you can enter the field, stay in the field, change the field, move people in the field to increase achievement, success for everybody. Because when we talk about educational equity, how are we going to get there if we don't have policies that provide that kind of foundation?
Well said.
So all right. So that is our show for the day. We thank you guys for watching. Absolutely, you can catch us, on our other social media: Twitter, Parker Educator, Facebook, Parker Education and Development. Go to our website, www.parkeredanddevelopment.com. You'll see a lot of information on there and where we are going to be next. We have a few engagements coming up in Virginia and possibly Michigan and a couple of other places. We have some material that'll be coming out. We're going to post some things on our website. So, keep up with us, keep in touch with us. If you have questions, if you want us to talk about something specifically, let us know. Email us, call us, catch us on Facebook, whatever you need to do. Send us a direct message, whatever, if there's something you really want us to talk about. So thank you guys for watching. This is the Education X Show with your host, Grace and Boom. And we are out of here.
Did we say who that was?
This is our boy and his band, Tyler Kitchen from New Orleans. We love them. You don't know about Tyler Kitchen, get with them.
Tyler Kitchen, Kinchen, not kitchen.
Not like cooking fried chicken in the kitchen. This is Turn It On.
They're a funky little band. We advise y'all to get with them.
Love them. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. See you later.